Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Global Issues on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. It is indeed a pleasure, a blessing to have with us in Al-Hikmat studio Sister Tehsin Siddiqui. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure to have you in Al-Hikmat studio and on this show, Global Issues, which is broadcasted worldwide. We got viewers all over the world, east, west, north, and south, and I'm sure that a lot of people will benefit from what you have to say on this program, your experience, your knowledge, your involvement, and that very well-known organization called Noor Center, of which you are the president. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you
Okay.
are.
So viewers, especially ladies, well, ladies are the mothers of the home and the family and the nations. So fathers, sons, husbands, you all need to benefit from what we're going to hear about the Noor Center and Tehsin's involvement as the president. So let me ask you first a little bit about your background. What is your profession and career?
Thank you. Pleasure is mine to be here. Thank you for this time, for your time. I am a physician assistant, PA, as a short. As a professional, I have been working at a hospital here, Broward General. I took some time off right now for my kids to raise them.
Interesting.
So yes, but I look forward to going back as well. But I'm full-time involved with Noor Center as well.
Good. So you as a physician assistant, that's interesting. So you got all that good medical experience and background.
Exactly.
So I suppose that will definitely contribute at a very great amount when it comes to services at the Noor Center.
Yes, I actually have extensive 2-year experience working with psychiatrists and with psych patients, so I very well understand what depression is, what schizophrenia is, so that mental health problem. So it is an added benefit when I come to the field of Noor Center and working with the women and to spot out who are the women who are depressed, need medical help, etc.
Excellent. Could you tell our viewers what motivated you to get involved with a center of such nature in helping women, battered women, domestic violence? What really motivated you to get involved in this? Because I know a lot of people today, they're all about different things in their career and all the 9 yards that go with it, but here you're in a very stressful environment.
Right. It was the time as well as how I grew up in my family. So I'll explain that each. I migrated to the United States when I was in high school. I grew up in Pakistan and I saw the disparities very close up. I grew up in a family where the disparity wasn't there. I have 2 brothers and I'm the only daughter. So I was raised like a boy, you know.
Okay,
for everything, everything was equal opportunity to education, same schooling, everything like that. But I saw in even our classrooms, the opportunities weren't there for women per se. As at that young age,
And I suppose you know that's culture.
it's cultural.
It's
Yes,
nothing to
it's
do with-
definitely cultural.
It's nothing to do with Islam. I know I got to stop you here and there. I mean, just for the benefit of our viewers, we got a lot of non-Muslim viewers. So I really don't want them to get the impression that, yes, in the Muslim world, women don't have opportunities and they're second class and second grade. It's really cultural where, you know, the boys have more privilege, the girls are less. That brings me to the saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him. If a father has 3 pieces of clothing, then 2 should be given to the girl and 1 for the boy.
right.
The girl is always treated more, the girl always benefits more, but unfortunately, in some of the cultures in the world, unfortunately, our ladies are not given that kind of status
Right.
that Islam, the Quran, and the Sunnah has given to them.
Right. I totally agree with
So
you.
you have seen that, and
I
that
had
has
seen
created
that.
that into you.
Yes, and moving here, my uncle, Muhammad Shakir, and his wife, Shahida Shakir, my aunt, they were very involved with the women rights, and they were somebody that I looked up to, and still do to this date, and they were involved in providing services, and they were the first ones that got involved with Sahara, which was an initial organization started 14 years ago, since in its 15th year, as a referral service, and that was working for South Asian women, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. We were all working together.
Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
providing services to women who migrated from their homeland and had nobody here.
So this Sahara organization was in existence before Noor Center. That's what
Yes,
you're telling me.
yes. But
And
that
you're-
was only a referral service, meaning we will just provide support, but we will not provide shelter.
Okay, so you were just like a middleman.
Middleman, yes. We will connect the woman. It's a famous story my uncle tells me too, how it all started. There was a woman they found, the authorities reported that it was a woman who was living in an airport, Miami airport, for a week.
Muslim woman.
She was Muslim woman, yes.
Okay.
She did not speak English. And this was back in the days, many years back. They couldn't find anybody to translate for her, but they found this Sikh person who was wearing a turban. So they was like, okay, maybe you speak her language, come talk to her. What had happened with her, that she came on marriage visa. She was married in back home, and I forget which country it was. She got married, she came here, but nobody came to pick her up at the airport.
Oh, how
her husband
sad.
abandoned her. So he knew my uncle. He got her. He connected her with the Muslim community down here.
You mean the Sikh?
The Sikh person. He knew my uncle. He connected my uncle with the lady. My uncle connected the lady with the community, and then she basically resided in people's home in the community. That's how the shelter was provided to women who had nobody, did not speak the language, did not know what United States was.
Right. This is entirely a whole different world when
Totally.
you land here. And then I
Yes.
know your uncle is a very community conscious person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started. I was in college at that time. I did an internship with Sahara, and around the same time, the need increased for Noor Center existence, because
And as you say that, I am really starting to remember the word Sahara and that services. I did hear about that.
yes.
And that in itself speaks for itself. It was a sort of Sahara for these people.
Yes, that was the Sahara translated as support for these people, because they had nobody. They could not, because domestic violence in the United States or abroad is a taboo. You don't talk about your personal things.
Yeah.
It's your dirty laundry. You don't want to put it out.
And especially
sort
in the
of thing.
Muslim world.
In the Muslim world also. And if you get involved with it, even you probably had experienced this too. If anybody gets involved, people say it's a personal matter, don't get involved.
Yeah.
And if you get a little bit too involved, then they're like, oh, you're breaking the houses. But we're not breaking the houses. The house is already broken when that husband hits the wife.
Right.
And when she throws her out, on whose support? Nobody's, except for God and some people who might help her.
Of course. And that's
So-
why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has people like
Yes.
your uncle, communities who should be there to help.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And it's a test for those who can help if they don't help. So that motivated you to get involved.
Get involved, and I stayed involved at that time. And then when Noor Center started, which was in 2010, I came on board as a student, interning with Noor Center. I used to take one-on-one, I used to take the client information, like I used to answer phone calls and take their intakes. I learned a lot of personal information, what they went through, and it was many times it was very heart-wrenching.
I
Like
know,
you really feel, oh my Lord, you know, what is happening. Then with time passed, I was elected on the board, and so as a DV advocate, we had to go through training. We all go through a training so that we have means to help the clients that are out there. And then last year, I resumed the responsibility as a president.
Very interesting. And I suppose that the people who come there, the women and children, will feel very much comfortable with you as a president being there. You got medical background. Your husband is a doctor, so you know you are in the field of bringing your children. So you're a real family.
Yes, that's
oriented
our goal.
person.
Yes, that's our goal.
So it's
at
not
the
mechanical
center.
for the people in Noor Center.
Yeah, it's not. It's a holistic approach. Noor Center. What makes Noor Center different is that we provide culturally sensitive support and dignified housing. That's what we are in the business of. We want to rehab the women so they could be a contribution to the community. When they come out of their situations and then they step out of Noor Center, they're not a burden on Muslim community or community at large.
Excellent.
But are able to empower other women and inspire other women. Because we really believe if you are not going to stand up for yourself, nobody else will.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's a responsibility that God and we are servants of God.
And if they come out depressed and frustrated, they can't help themselves.
Exactly.
They can't help other people.
Kids.
So I think if they come out to such power that they can empower other people, stronger, more independent, then they can benefit people and other women, etc. So I know the next question that our viewers would probably be thinking in their mind, where in the world is this Noor Center? Women probably looking at the show, or families is like, okay, how do we get in contact with these people? How do we know what's going on? What are the services they offer? So we want to let our viewers know that. So where is this geographically located?
Geographically, I can tell you it's located in Miami, but we do not give a physical address out because domestic violence shelters are confidential. Their addresses are confidential. That's for the protection of our clients and protection of overall the community as well.
Definitely,
because you do not want, if there is an aggressive perpetrator trying to get to his significant other who had run away from her at this point because she's really is scared for her life, then you don't want him to land right there and to harm her or anyone else at the facility.
And he may just make an excuse, I'm coming to visit my ex-wife.
Exactly.
And then he uses some opportunity to harm her, kill her, do something or the other.
Yes.
And we see that in the hospitals.
Yes.
You got police protection, law enforcement protection. If someone's life is in danger and they're going through some sort of tragedy or some problem, then they will have police protection. So I can understand the security, and I totally agree with that, and I'm sure our viewers would agree with that. So how do someone get in contact with you now? Let's say someone is looking at this show, somebody around has a problem, because I want to also ask you, what is domestic violence and what level or degree, or what has to happen for someone or for your Noor Center to take that person under your shelter? You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So if someone want to get in contact with you guys, what do they do?
So
how do they go about that?
We prefer our phone line, which is 1-866-2786-NOOR, NUR. That's our main way. But usually in the past,
so that is 1-866-2786-NOOR. NUR, which is really 687.
Yes.
Good. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you guys, they can use those numbers.
Exactly. So that is main form of contact. We have been around, especially because of Sahara as well, in the community. Usually referrals come to us through mosque, leadership in the community, through word of mouth. We have a Facebook page, we have an email address, which is noorcenterfl@gmail.com. So a lot of times.
Do you have a website set up also?
We have that as well, noorcenterfl.org. So all those resources are out there for somebody to contact us. Recently in Ramadan, we went to, because Ramadan has a lot of congregation comes out to the mosque. So we did make announcements, and we put up our posters in every mosque. We tried to do that because I was always, and I want to do this more so probably working on institution by institution basis. If you go in the parks, in the bathrooms, there is a hotline number. If you go to a Jewish center, you will see a hotline number for domestic violence.
Definitely.
But our mosques don't have them, and our institutions don't have them as of yet. So our hope is, that's our future goal, that we can get that in every mosque established and every institution established for the women. So they have a way to contact. So that is one thing. And we have flyers out in the community, our pamphlets. So sometimes when we go to different places, we do programming. Like we did a series of health programming, and we went to different mosques and we set up the programs. That way people, the attendees, were able to hear information, and they might know of somebody and they'll pass the information that, hey, you called these people. Yeah.
Plus I think that works more effective because of the fact is that it has some kind of personal connection.
Right, exactly.
There is a line available, a number connected to a mosque, or an imam, or an organization. It helps as a form of recommendation,
right,
as opposed to just picking an organization that helps domestic violence out of the blues and nobody knows who or what are the people or the organization.
Yeah, so that's how we get majority of referrals. Services that we provide is...
before we get to the services, so there is a fight. There's some problem. This woman, husband decides to beat her, something went wrong. We don't know what caused it, but we're to the point of the disaster here now, and she's in problems. She calls Nur Center. What do you guys ask her? What she has to provide? What has to be her case to be accepted in your shelter? You follow what I'm saying? Because based on a different case, you may say call 911, call some other organization, call this. Where do you come in here?
So if she's in an active crisis situation, we will tell her to call 911. Okay. Because human life is very important. We have seen a lot of prevalence in the United States and overall. In United States, it's 1 in 4 women who are murdered by their intimate partner every day. 1 in 4. Yeah. So that's 25%. And 1 in 4 women overall will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. That's United States. And overall, internationally, it's 1 in 3. So the percentage even, it's more. So internationally, 1 in 3 will be murdered or have a lifetime experience of domestic violence. Muslim community is not that far. Muslim community, there was a recent, not so recent, but 2011, the Peaceful Family Projects up north and Project Sakina, they did a survey, and they found out 53% of American Muslim women have experienced domestic violence in United States. And not to mention that there are many more who are suffering in silence. Yes. They will never call, they will never reach out.
And I'm about to tell you that you got the silence violence.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't make sense literally, but what we were saying, that sort of oppression, persecution, suffering that a lot of women go through, but they don't talk, they don't say anything, they can't tell people.
Yeah. There's a lot of taboo, there's dishonor you will be bringing to family. Women think 1,000 times before they pick up that phone call and make it. And even if after they make that phone call, it's going to take them many times. Like many times they'll come and they'll leave because they are not ready for it. So what have them come to us and who we accept is exactly the ones that are ready for this trial, because it is a trial, because they are coming to unfamiliar grounds. They don't know. Many women that come to us, they don't know how to drive. They don't know how to speak English even. They might be living in this country for 10 years, 20 years. They don't know how to speak English. They don't know how to take a bus pass. They don't have a car. They don't have any resources to feed their child. Sometimes they have disabled kids. And husband takes their social security or disability that's coming for their kids. And now, all of a sudden, they don't even have some way to provide for that disabled child that was kicked out along with her. Majority of the time, we are not the breakers of the house. We are actually providing a shelter to these women who are already on the street.
Yes, and that's an important point. Those who are already on the street, you're trying to save them from getting worse.
Or they are on the like I told you the story about the airport. They're sitting in the airport for a week, or they're outside the mosque every day, you know, because they have no place to go. So these are the women that we really provide help to, or the women who actually their husband kicked out. They went to their friend's house. Now friend is calling us, and we take them in. We work with them with their problems. Our first thing that we have to do is get them emotionally stable, because there's a shock that they have came in from, because they have suffered. Majority of the time, it could be 1 year, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years of abuse that has gone on. What happens is domestic violence is something when you are being abused by an intimate partner, and it is a repetitive situation. It's a situation of power and control. There's a honeymoon period, there's abuse, and then it goes back to honeymoon period. So honeymoon period, the guy is totally fine. He's happy. He puts you like up there, and when it comes bad, then he's beating you. Everything is wrong with you. It's a constant putting you down, constant. You know, you have no self-dignity left towards it. If somebody's telling you 24/7, you are not worth anything.
Yeah.
You are nothing. You are dirt. Slowly, you start thinking that you are dirt. And if you start thinking, you became a slave right there then.
And a lot of times people, because of their children, women, because of their children, they go through this oppression and depression and persecution and violence only in defense
for their kids.
For their kids, and not knowing that the situation gets worse and worse, and the kids also go into problems.
Kids go into problems, and national statistics shows that the kids that are 80% of the kids in the domestic abuse situation, 80% of the kids are exposed to domestic violence when their husband and wife are fighting. Even if it is closed doors, they know what pop is going on in the back doors. And those 80% that are exposed, they are twice likely to become either a victim or offender, or a DV oppressor. So what we want to do is we want to break that cycle of violence. We want to know women that our religion give us the right to be respected and live in a harmony. We want to teach people what a healthy marriages are and how healthy relationships are. So you live in harmony and fulfilling the rights of your God and rights of each other and the kids are raised in a healthy environment where we can break that cycle of violence, and we are not bringing more people in the cycle of violence, and that just goes around and round, you know, and you're not able to ever break free. So that's our ultimate goal.
Good. So at this point, you know, we have been talking for 20 minutes. Yes, time just goes.
Yes.
So we're going to have to go on a short commercial break, and when we get back, I want to ask you, and I'm sure some people probably have a lot of this problem. You were mentioning that you take people up after the home has been broken or after they have been kicked out. So we want to talk a little bit, what about those many more people, you know, that 7 years that they have been going through that domestic violence, that oppression, that depression, that persecution, that beating, whatever it may be. Do you have, when we come back we want to talk about that, but I just want to let the viewers and audience there know that we want to continue on this, a little more on the services you offer. And during this period, while they're going through this, before it gets into an explosion and the wife gets kicked out, Do you have some kind of mechanism that they can call you, Noor Center, and you can provide some kind of counseling, some kind of services that can prevent
Right.
this domestic violence getting worse, that they may have to come to the shelter? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, rather than have to going through the 9 yards here, what could you do before? Do you have
Right.
anything in plans for that? What are the ideas? When we come back, we want to talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure if we may have 10% of women going through that, you would have another 90%, 10% of women who need to come to a shelter. You definitely got 75 to 90% who are going through the silence violence at home.
Right.
And they're just waiting for this time to explode.
Right.
You agree with me? You have
Yes.
that going on.
Totally.
Good. So we have been talking to Tehsin Siddiqui, who is a physician assistant and the president of Noor Center in Miami. It has been a pleasure talking to her. After the short commercial break, we'll continue our conversation on some of the services that Noor Center offer, and what are some of the ideas and plans for the future and their goals and objectives. And as I ask her about, while the wives are home, some of the things they're going through, but they're scared to talk to people, they don't know what to do. We will continue after the short break. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Al-Hikmat Services, serving the Muslim community and non-Muslim community. Dawah and interfaith activities, distribution of Quran and Islamic publications, sponsoring students to study Islam, Al-Hikmat Dawah and Interfaith Institute. Also, Friday sermons by Shaikh Shafayat are live on alhikmattv.com from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Download our free Al-Hikmat TV app on your mobile devices. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to donate to Al-Hikmat Dawah services online with a credit card or PayPal at alhikmat.com. For more details, contact Al-Hikmat office at 1-800-804-0267 or our local number 954-986-0158 and visit us at www.alhikmat.com. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Global Issues on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Again, it's a pleasure to have with us in the studio Tehsin Siddiqui, who is a physician assistant and the president of Noor Center in Miami. So welcome back to the show. It's really very interesting talking to you about this domestic violence situation, battered women, as we would say, the shelter of Noor Center for women. I really learned a lot about it. I hear a lot about Noor Center, but I did not know much of the fine details, and I think that is very important. And I hope that women all over the world got families and relatives in America, and I'm sure they can give their relatives a call. They can tell them now. They can contact Noor Center. It doesn't matter where. America is somewhat connected to the whole world,
Right.
or the whole world is connected to America. And even though they're living in other parts of the world, they're living American style.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So down the line, we can help, you can help, and people can benefit. As we were saying before we went on the short break, and before we get into the services, what do you have in plan when someone calls or someone tells you through the grassroots, or someone calls you and say that, I'm going through such and such with my husband, and he does this, or he takes advantage of me, and there is domestic violence, but I'm scared to leave. I don't know if I should leave, if this is the right time I should take my kids and leave. What do you guys got, or what you got in mind, or what you got presently for this kind of situation, which definitely you got a lot of?
Right. So those cases, we receive those phone calls as well. And the number one thing we do is we want to make sure that the women are safe. Where the house that they're living in, they are safe. The husband does not have a gun. If there is a gun, it's locked away. And women do have set up some way of escape path. So if he does take out a gun to her, those situations are very severe domestic violence. Those are crisis situations. We want to protect life. That's number one. So in those type of situations, we advise the woman that you need to tell your neighbor. That's the safest place for you is going to be to run to your neighbor's house and call police, because a lot of times they don't have access to phones. They might not even have a cell phone, so they can't call 911. So they have to have a established contact with their neighbor. Also have their belongings, their important documents. So we do first thing is we do the safety planning with them. Second thing that we will move on to is refer them to a counselor, a therapist within the community. Again, a lot of people they live in denial, so they're not going to actively go unless you are going to realize the severity of condition that you are in. So first step is for a woman to admit that yes, the situation is bad, and I need to go through counseling, and my husband needs to go through counseling. And because a lot of
so you do have a lot of people with those cases.
Those cases, yeah, of course, yes, we do.
And then you may have a situation that if the husband knows that they called you guys and told you their problem,
yes,
now it may get even more violent.
It might get very violent, yes. So we do tell them that. So we do tell them that you should not, of course, you should not go ahead and be telling the perpetrator that, oh, by the way, I did this, and you're going to get in trouble, this, because you do not want to be in a hostile situation.
Right.
Because life is precious, and you never know what will take turn, what will happen for the worst or better. So we also wants to do, that's something that we want to do. And preventatively, what we are doing is we're working with different mosques, with different institutions, going different places, and giving the information of what a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship is. So at least women start and men start to think that, oh, what I'm doing at home or what I have been experiencing at home, it's wrong. So I can step against it, or I can say that no to violence. That is the first step, to recognize it and then take steps to make it better. A lot of times because domestic violence is a learned behavior. It could be unlearned. A lot of times perpetrators, they saw that while growing up. So that's why they
themselves are very innocent of what they're doing. They're committing a crime, but they don't even know it's a crime.
Exactly.
And that's very sad. It's
very sad. They're blinded to it. But there's a saying of a teacher that you should always pray that may God open up and show me my faults.
Yeah.
So that is profound in itself, because if you know your faults, you can correct it. If you don't know your faults, you can never correct it.
Definitely. So you got a lot of these husbands, they're committing a crime, they don't know it's a crime. You got a lot of wives whose husbands are violent, and they think it's the rights of the husband.
Exactly.
And they got to go through this.
Yes.
And it's part of the marriage for them to take the beating, the curse, the abuse, and all the 9 yards that go with it to keep their home and keep their family together, not knowing they're really indirectly destroying their home and their family.
Exactly. And in a sense, they are, what we also have seen is the national statistics shows that a lot of these women who are domestically abused, even if they do not, community is not supporting them, and if they are not have any sort of support, they altogether leave Islam.
Yeah.
They leave it because they see that, oh, a religion that is asking me to, and religion is not asking them.
Definitely.
It's their understanding and their perception that's asking them
and the culture
they're brought up into, that to make a home they have to go through sacrifice, which is to take the beating.
Yeah.
But that's not really a healthy relationship. In the end of the day, both are human beings. You do not wanna, you're not going to sleep happy after abusing somebody either.
Of course.
So there's a consciousness that could be awakened. So we do work with, sometimes imams come in, leadership in the community, they come in in the roles of working with the husband and the wife, and really helping them sort their problems. So sometimes it goes through that route, sometimes it goes through the route of a professional therapist, and sometimes the women have to make the decision. We don't tell the woman to leave.
Of course.
We guide them. The decision has to be theirs, because if we make the decision for them, that's not empowerment.
No.
They have to make the decision what the situation is.
Then you will be accused of breaking the homes.
Exactly.
And,
So
and listen, and a lot of times women will do that. They will
Yes.
say, they who encouraged
told
me
us,
to leave.
yes.
They told us to leave, and I
Yeah.
regret that I leave, and all these
yes.
things.
So they have to
Yeah.
they have to come to terms with what lifestyle they want to choose for themselves and their family and their kids that are involved in that situation. Many times women, because they are so afraid of what's going to be outside, they might just stay in the situation. But they might come back after 2-3 years. We do encourage them to invest in themselves if they are not educated. Work on getting some education, some sort of skills, become a phlebotomist, become something that they can invest in, go to schooling, and have some way of, while they are in that domestic violence situation, while they are
You mean
there,
why they're home
while
still
they're
with their
home,
husbands?
they have some means of, or invest in themselves that they can be
Independent.
financially independent.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times marriages fall apart because of finances.
Of course,
So
of
if they
course.
can invest in them, that's going to be extra work for them with the raising families, but they can invest in themselves and work towards a goal where they could be financially independent. So maybe the domestic violence situation will get better, or if they decide to get out of that situation, they would be independent to live off their own.
And I think that's fantastic, because that's what you call prevention is better than cure. If you can help that family get back together, that
Yeah.
wife to get independent, it may just mend things back in the home. The husband may start recollecting where is it going wrong.
Right.
You know, and he sees her more independent, more intellectually thinking for herself, and not just
Right.
being a slave and servant.
Right.
You know, because then he would take more advantage of her.
Exactly.
So I think that's fantastic. And I just thought that that was important for our viewers to understand, because I am definitely sure there are a lot of people out there who go through that. And I mean,
Right.
I'm not speculating.
Right.
With my 40 plus years of dawah and services in the world, there are many housewives that call me and tell me the things they go through. You know what is sad? I do think that this couple could be the happiest in the world. Outside, they're the most dressed, well loved up together. You know, I see this thing happening. They call each other love, honey, darling, you know, in public, in weddings, in ceremonies. But little do you know, behind closed doors, they're the most miserable people. The kind of abuse. So sometimes a lot of these things are just a show outside,
Yes.
when it's more frustration and oppression and domestic violence within closed doors. So I'm glad that you guys got some system to address that situation, which definitely will help. You know, rather than you have to go through that
Right.
at your new shelter, you can help prevent it and
Yes.
cure a lot. And when it reaches a stage, it comes to you. So, be that as it may, what are some of the other services you offer now at the center? I know we spoke about most of things here and there, but someone comes to your shelter, a home is broken already, mom and kids come, or mom alone, or wife alone, as the case may be. What are some of the services you offer?
So first service that we will offer is to emotional support. We want to make sure that the women and the children that are coming to our shelter are emotionally sound. It's a big shock for them to be, if they have been in the same household for 10 years, 20 years. You know, women have made certain sacrifices to, and certain adjustments to be able to live in that situation, right? So what we will do is we will first provide them emotional support. If there is any medical health issues, we will, through our community partners, UHI Clinic, we will address those issues. Their clothing, food, all of that is provided because everybody eats a different way. Kids need milk and all of that. Those physical needs are taken care of.
I think the people needs to know that. You know, one is a person is in a poverty line and there is a shelter for them to come and live. But doing the kind of rehabilitation and services and caring that you guys are offering, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
And I know in the United States that's very limited. But do you know one of the reasons I think for that is, again, women don't like to say what they're going through.
Yes.
And people don't want to get involved because you think that you're imposing in their personal life, you know, their privacy, whatever is going on within their closed doors, not knowing that there is a need for that.
Right.
And there's great help that should be offered to these people. And maybe that's one of the reasons Muslims have not been establishing more of these kind of services throughout the United States of America, because you're scared.
Yes.
You're really scared. The husband is going to get mad. He's going to think you're involved, getting involved in their personal business. And I think that's why the communities probably hesitate. But that's where women like you need to get involved. You see, men cannot necessarily get involved in this. We can be from the background.
Right.
Support it, motivate it, market it, encourage it. But you need women directly involved with this kind of woman domestic violence because it's very sensitive.
Right. We have a board of 7 women. So we have women that are on hands with a lot of issues. They've actually put in more than 7,000 hours yearly.
Wow.
Everyone puts in their hours. We have one social worker who also is a female, but she's a paid social worker, putting in about 2,000 to 3,000 hours yearly to provide all these services. Then next step, we also provide, like if they're able to get some entitlement benefits to get resume writing, job hunt. Those are the services that we want them, that we offer, so that our clients can be independent going onwards.
Interesting. Well, we have gone another 15 minutes. So we've been talking for the past 45 minutes or so in total before we went on the break. So I'm going to give you the last call. Is there anything else you would like to let our viewers know worldwide, and what they can do and what you can do for them and how they can contact you? Again, we spoke about that. I'd like to repeat that. And how else our women out there who are going through domestic violence can benefit? And what I would like to say, though, before you conclude, is I think your board should try to get in contact with some of the other national organizations. It may be asking for too much, but it's really a need out there. You know, because, you know, I travel worldwide. I go to all different states and I hear these problems all over, but they're not. That's why I have been so much interested in getting you on the show to talk directly in what's happening, because there are a lot of women who are really scared to talk their problems. They're just scared. They don't even know who to go to talk. You know, they may go and tell a medical doctor. It remains confidential, but it does not help the situation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They go to the hospital for some physical problem, they share it, and that's where it reaches, and it doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
So that might be another thing you guys may want to see, how you can contact with some women organizations nationwide in the United States of America.
Right.
Encourage them to do this, because there are a lot of women. They may really dress nice out there, but I do hear a lot of complaints from other imams. You see why I'm saying this? I have a lot of connections with imams who come now and we talk, and they will say this is what is happening, but they can't do anything. The poor imams can't, because the husband will say, why you get involved in my business?
Right, exactly. No, that's true.
You see how complicated it is.
Right, right.
So as we conclude, what would you like to tell our audience? You got a couple seconds.
I would say that make prayers for us, make dua. Dua reaches heavens, and that we are able to do this work and give the full due that we are able to do, and may give barakah in this work, and of course we always pitch for donations. So donations go a long way, because we only have one paid staff. Everyone else, all the board members volunteer their time, and we are all in our own have our professional and personal lives, and spread the word. If women can invest in themselves and believe in themselves, a lot of problems could be solved. Our motto always have been that turn weakness into strength, strength into opportunity, and opportunity into empowerment. And they dua for us.
Good. So thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to have you. We have had Tehsin Siddiqui, President of Noor Center in Miami, share with us, with you, the viewers worldwide, her experiences with Noor Center, with the benefits, the sort of services they offer. And it has really been a pleasure, and I'm glad I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you all out there would have learned a lot. And whatever way you can support and be part of this, at least share this message to other women who need help. At least they can call and get some kind of guidance as to what they should do and what they can do before having an explosion of the house break-in and domestic violence, etc. We really benefited, and I'm sure everyone would have benefited.
Thank you so much.
And whatever way Al-Hikmat can help and support and market whatever you guys doing, it's a pleasure. We're always open to that, and that's why we wanted to have you on Al-Hikmat TV and to promote this worldwide. It just takes a telephone call for somebody somewhere to connect and to contact you. All right? Thank you very
so
much, Sister Tehsin Siddiqui. May Allah bless you and continue to bless Noor Center and all the services you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah